Welcome everybody to a Kuta worksheet tutorial. We're doing solving proportions today. Now, before I get into the cross multiplication, which is the easiest way to solve these types of problems, okay, this is cross multiplication. I'm going to explain why it works. A lot of people don't really understand or even question why cross multiplication works, but it does. One way to represent this is to show how to get p by itself. In order to get p by itself, what you would do is you'd multiply both sides by p, or p over 1. Once you do this, you would get, well, the p's would cancel out on the right, and you'd be left with 4 on the right, and then you would have 6p over 2 on the left. Now, I'm going to pretend for a second that you can't reduce 6 over 2, which you can, just to show that the next step would be multiplying both sides by 2. So then you'd get, let me write that here, 6p equals 8. And then finally, you would divide by 6. You get this, and we get p equals 8 over 6. And then that would be our answer. Now, one way to show what this same process here is through cross multiplication. That's what we learned before. So we get 6p equals 8. Notice how that is the same step we got here through cross multiplication. Then after that, it's the same whether you cross multiply or not. So we do 4 times 2, we get 8. That's from this multiplication here. And then we had 6 times p, and that would give us 6p, and that's what we got here. So that's why cross multiplication works, is because essentially you're doing the same thing. You're moving stuff around in the same order. So then we have p equals 8 over 6, but you should reduce it to be p equals 4 over 3. So divide the top and bottom by 2, and there's our final answer. And that you can use with all of these. All of these are very similar. So we're going to get 4 times r, and then we have 7 times 5. I'm just writing it out. You can do that in your head. Like you just write this step in your head from here. But I just wanted to show it. And then we divide by 4, and I would just leave it as an improper fraction like that. If you want, you can make it a decimal. You might have some a little bit harder cases like number 8, where you have to do 6 times 5n to get 30n equals 10, and then you divide by 30 to both sides to get the n alone, and you get n equals 1 over 3 after you reduce 10 over 30, and that would be our final answer. You have some other ones with decimals here, so in this case I will need a calculator. So let me go ahead and get a calculator out. So for example, all these are very similar. You just, I guess we'll do number 11. You cross multiply, so you do 6.3 times 9.3, and then you do 2.56 times x. So 6.3 times 9.3, and that yields 58.59 equals 2.56x. So now we have to divide by 2.56 to both sides to isolate the x. 2.56 divided by 2.56, okay, and we get x equals 22. Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So let me show you how to round real quick. We get 22.886. The hundredths place is here, so we look to the right and we see it's a number bigger than 5, so we round that 8 up. We get 22.89. Final answer there. These are the problems I really wanted to get to with this video, and that's because we have k plus 6. So now we have the same cross multiplication action. 9 times 6 is 54. I'm just going to write the 54 this time. Hopefully you guys see that. But now I need to put this in parentheses. Anytime you have some addition or subtraction, you need to put parentheses with the 8 in front. Now we have to distribute. So it's more steps involved, a little bit more complicated. Equals 48, 54. So we did 8k plus 48 equals 54. Now we subtract 48 from both sides. We get 6 equals 8k, and now we divide by 8, and we're going to have a fraction here. We're going to have 3 over 4 equals k. So just a couple more steps involved when we have a situation like this. Maybe it's fine with a minus sign. Oh, here's a good one. Let's skip down to 24. So we do cross multiplication here. Oh, this is a really good one. We have 8 times x plus 5 equals 6 times 5x minus 4. We're going to have to distribute for both of these. We get 8x plus 40 equals 30x minus 24. I combine the x's first, so I'm going to subtract 8x for both sides. I like moving the smaller x. So I have 40 equals 22x minus 24. I'm going to add 24 to both sides. So then I have 64 equals 22x. I do 64 divided by 22. I'm not going to use a decimal. I'm not a big fan of decimals. I like leaving it as a fraction. I'm sure your good teachers like that too. So we did get 32 over 11 after we reduce 64 over 22, divided top and bottom by 2, and that equals x. So that's really all there is to it. Kind of a not great critical thinking question. Maybe I'll do one more. So I did a odd. Let's do, or even let me do an odd. We'll end on this one. So we have 9r equals 4r minus 40. Notice how I did that in my head. Not to brag. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just showing you can do these steps in your head. That's what I mean. Sorry, it didn't come out right. So we have 5r equals negative 40. And then we divide by 5. And we get, oh my gosh, an integer. R equals negative 8. So not bad. Cross multiplying just makes it a lot easier instead of solving it the first way I described. Hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more on West Explains Best.